Learned some breaking news. Multiple sources tell our Capitol Hill team, including our Rachel Scott and our Ali Pecorin, that inside that room, the first ballot is now over, and Rick Scott did not get the requisite numbers of votes to advance onto the second round. Remember, there have been three people running to replace Mitch McConnell. One is John Thune, the current number 2 Republican in the Senate. The other is John Cornyn, the former number 2 Republican in the Senate, but still a senator from Texas. And the third was Rick Scott. You see the three there on your screen. Rick Scott's the guy in the middle for those that don't know him. And Rick Scott has been trying to tie himself over the last few years to Donald Trump in order to advance to the upper echelons of Senate Republican leadership. And because Donald Trump helped Republicans capture the majority in this chamber, that was Rick Scott's calculus. He also got some significant MAGA world endorsers like Elon Musk. Even Senator Ted Cruz went against his fellow senator from Texas and said that he was going to cast a ballot for Rick Scott. Nonetheless, we've now learned from multiple sources, because this is all behind closed doors, all secret ballot, that Rick Scott did not get the votes he needs. They're going on to the second round of balloting now, and the only two remaining candidates are John Thune and John Cornyn. Diane.
And then there were two. All right, I want to go to White House correspondent Karen Travers as well, because, Karen, as we said, while this Senate leadership race is playing out there at the White House, we have the president-elect and the current president meeting. How significant is this Oval Office meeting between Biden and Trump today, especially given it didn't happen 4 years ago and all the discussion about the state of democracy during this election?
I mean, that was a big part of President Biden's campaign message when he was still running for re-election, that Donald Trump was a threat to democracy and did not deserve a second term in the White House. But this meeting, one like this, did not take place 4 years ago. Then President Trump did not invite then President-elect Joe Biden to the White House after his election win, because, of course, Trump at that time was challenging and questioning the election results. So it was notable today to see both of them focus on the smooth transition, almost making a point of talking about how different this is from 4 years ago. You heard the president there say that they are going to look forward to making sure this is a smooth transition, doing everything we can, he said, to make sure you are accommodated. Diane, we keep hearing that from White House officials, that yes, they are disappointed, of course, in the election results, but they want to set up the incoming Trump team for success. They want to do what they can to make sure it is easy for them to walk in on January 20th, because they were not afforded that 4 years ago. And Diane, I thought it was notable to hear the president-elect Trump say twice that he appreciates those efforts and that this is going to be a smooth transition, as smooth as it can get. Again, a contrast to what we saw 4 years ago when a meeting like this did not take place.
And Selena, for Trump, this is a return trip to the White House. For a lot of his incoming administration, that won't be the case. So what sticks out to you so far of the picks he's named?
Well, what really sticks out is just how rapidly Donald Trump is moving to install these loyalists around him. He's been naming a string of appointments, and it is very fascinating to see how he's rewarding loyalty over even experience. Now, he announced a whole string this morning of new appointments for senior White House staff. These names do not come as a surprise. These are folks who worked closely with him on the campaign and helped him get elected. But what is really surprising to people in Washington, and including Republican senators and Congress folks, is the appointment, his announcement of Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. Now, Hegseth is a weekend anchor for Fox and Friends. He is a U.S. Army veteran, Diane, but he has no government experience. And as Secretary of Defense, he would be overseeing the Pentagon and 1.3 million active duty troops. And with Hegseth could come big changes to the military, sweeping changes, in fact. Just days ago, Hegseth said he believes that women should not be in combat positions. He also called the Pentagon's message of diversity as strength, quote, garbage. This also comes, Diane, as we see Donald Trump install critical loyalists who are hardliners on immigration in key positions. This includes Kristi Noem, the South Dakota governor, as the head of DHS. The Department of Homeland Security oversees everything from ICE, FEMA, U.S. Secret Service, Customs and Border Protection. She's going to be working very closely with Stephen Miller and the Borders Tom Homan to carry out his pledge for mass deportations. So you're seeing a very different picture than we saw 8 years ago. Donald Trump knows his way around the bureaucracy. He knows who he wants. He is putting in place people who he believes will carry out his demands.
All right, Selena Wang, Karen Travers, Jay O'Brien, thank you. And I want to bring in ABC News executive editor